So we're working our way through the Rock of a Sure Foundation. We're up to the NazActs Book 8, Chapter 26. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. It says, "And what occasion is there to mention more instances in which divine providence has ordained the production of animals to be effected in various ways, that order being superseded, which is thought to be a sign by nature, from which not an irrational course of things, but one arranged by his own reason, might be revealed? And in this also is there not a full work of providence shown, when seeds sown are prepared by means of earth and water for the substance of men? For when these seeds are committed to the earth, the soil milks upon the seed as from its teats the moisture which it has received unto itself by the will of God. For there is in water a certain power of the Spirit given by God from the beginning, by whose operation the structure of the body that is to be begins to be formed in the seed itself, and to be developed by means of the blade and the ear and the grain of seed being swelled by the moisture. That power of the Spirit which has been made to reside in water, running as an incorporeal substance through certain straight passages of veins, excites the seeds to growth and forms the species of the growing plant." So this is kind of an interesting take on what he's saying about the way a seed sprouts. He's saying that in the beginning, when the Holy Spirit was hovering over the water, that a certain power resided within the water because of that action of the Holy Spirit, and that this power of the Holy Spirit in the water is what causes seeds to spring forth and to create life. I find that interesting. There are several passages in the teachings of Peter that speak about that power of the Spirit within the water that originated in the first few lines of Genesis, where it says that the Spirit of God hovered on the waters. And so, here it is being referenced again, this time with regards to plants. At other times, he mentions it with regards to baptism, that the reason that you're baptized in water is because of the Holy Spirit hovering over the water at the time of creation, and that this residual power remained in the water after that event. By means, therefore, of the moist element in which that vital spirit is contained and inborn, it is caused that not only is it revived, but also that an appearance and form in all respects like to the seeds that have been sown is reproduced. Now who that has even a particle of sense would think that this method depends upon irrational nature and not upon divine wisdom? Lastly, also, these things are done in a resemblance of the birth of men, for the earth seems to take the place of the womb, in which the seed being cast is both formed and nourished by the power of water and spirit, as we have said above. But in this also the divine providence is to be admired, that it permits us to see and to know the things that are made. But it has placed in secrecy and concealment the way and manner in which they are done, that they may not be competent to the knowledge of the unworthy, but may be laid open to the worthy and faithful, when they shall have deserved it. But to prove by facts and examples that nothing is imparted to the seeds of the substance of the earth, but that all depends upon the element of water and the power of the Spirit which is in it, suppose, for example, that 100 talents worth of earth are placed in a very large trough, and that there are sown in it several kinds of seeds, either of herbs or shrubs, and that water enough is supplied for watering them, and that care is taken for several years, and that the seeds which are gathered are stored up, for example, corn or barley or other sorts, separately from year to year, until the seeds of each sort amount to 100 talents weight. Then also let the stalks be pulled up by the roots and weighed, and after all these have been taken from the trough, let the earth be weighed. It will still give back its 100 talents weight undiminished. Whence then shall we say that all that all that weight and the quantity of different seeds and stalks had come? Does it not appear manifestly that it has come from the water? For the earth retains entire what is its own, but the water which has been poured in all through is nowhere, on account of the powerful virtue of divine condition, which by the one species of water both prepares the substance of so many seeds and shrubs, and forms their species, and preserves the kind while multiplying the increase. From all these things, I think it is sufficiently and abundantly evident that all things are produced, and the universe consists by a designing sense, and not by the irrational operation of nature. But let us come now, if you please, to our own substance, that is, the substance of man, who is a small world, a microcosm in the great world, and let us consider with what reason it is compounded, and from this especially you will understand the wisdom of the Creator. For although man consists of different substances, one mortal and the other immortal, yet by the skillful contrivance of the Creator their diversity does not prevent their union, and that although the substances be diverse and alien the one from the other, for the one is taken from the earth and formed by the Creator, but the other is given from immortal substances, and yet the honor of its immortality is not violated by this union. Nor does it, as some think, consist of reason, sexual desire, and passion, but rather such affections seem to be in it, by which it may be moved in each of these directions. For the body which consists of bones and flesh takes its beginning from the seed of a man, which is extracted from the marrow by warmth, and conveyed into the womb as into soil, to which it adheres, and is gradually moistened from the fountain of the blood, and so is changed into flesh and bones, and is formed into the likeness of him who injected the seed. And mark in this the work of the designer, how he has inserted the bones like pillars on which the flesh might be sustained and carried. Then again, how an equal measure is preserved on either side, that is, the right and the left, so that foot answers to foot, hand to hand, and even finger to finger, so that each agrees in perfect equality with each, and also eye to eye and ear to ear, which not only are suitable to and matched with each other, but also are formed fit for necessary uses. The hands, for instance, are so made as to be fit for work, the feet for walking, the eyes protected with sensible eyebrows, sentinel eyebrows, to serve the purpose of sight, and the ears so formed for hearing that, like a cymbal, they vibrate the sound of the word that falls upon them, and send it inward, and transmit it even in the understanding of the heart, whereas the tongue, striking against the teeth in speaking, performs the part of a fiddle bow. The teeth also are formed, some for cutting and dividing the food and handing it over to the inner ones, and these in turn bruise and grind it like a mill, that it may be more conveniently digested when it is conveyed into the stomach, whence also they are called grinders. The nostrils also are made for the purpose of collecting, inspiring, and expiring air, that the renewal of the breath, the natural heat which is in the heart, may by means of the lungs be either warmed or cooled as the occasion may require, and the lungs are made to abide in the breast, that by their softness they may soothe and cherish the vigor of the heart, in which the life seems to abide. The life, I say, not the soul. And what shall I say of the substance of the blood, which proceeding as a river from a fountain, and first borne along in one channel, and then spreading through innumerable veins as through canals, irrigates the whole territory of the human body with vital streams, being supplied by the agency of the liver, which is placed in the right side for effecting the digestion of food and turning it into blood. But in the left side is placed the spleen, which draws to itself and in some way cleanses the impurities of the blood. What reason also is employed in the intestines, which are arranged in long circular windings, that they may gradually carry off the refuse of the food, so as neither to render places suddenly empty, and so as not to be hindered by the food that is taken afterwards. But they are made like a membrane, that all parts that are outside of them may gradually receive moisture, which, if it were poured out suddenly, would empty the internal parts, and not hindered by a thick skin, which would render the outside dry and disturb the whole fabric of man with distressing thirst. Moreover, the female form and the cavity of the womb, most suitable for receiving and cherishing and vivifying the germ, which does not believe that it has been made as it is by reason and foresight. Because in that part alone of her body the female differs from the male, in which the fetus being placed is kept and cherished, and again the male differs from the female only in that part of his body in which is the power of injecting seed and propagating mankind. And in this there is a great proof of providence, from the necessary differences of members, but more in this, where under a likeness of form there is found to be diversity of use and variety of office. For males and females equally have teats, but only those of the female are filled with milk, that as soon as they have brought forth, the infant may find nourishment suited for him. But if we see the members in man arranged with such method that in all the rest there is seen to be a similarity of form, and a difference only in those in which their use requires a difference, and we neither see anything superfluous nor anything wanting in man, nor in woman anything deficient or in excess, who will not from all these things acknowledge the operation of reason and the wisdom of the Creator. With this agrees also the reasonable differences of other animals, and each one being suited to its own use and service. This also is testified by the variety of trees and the diversity of herbs, varying both in form and in juices. This also is asserted by the change of seasons, distinguished into 4 periods, and the circle choosing the year with certain hours, days, months, and not deviating from the appointed reckoning by a single hour. Hence, in short, the age of the world itself is reckoned by a certain and fixed account and definite number of years. But you will say, when was the world made, and why so late? This you might have objected, though it had been made sooner. But you might say, why not also before this? And so, going back through unmeasured ages, you might still ask, and why not sooner? But we are not now discussing this. Why was it not made sooner, but whether it was made at all? For if it is manifest that it was made, it is necessarily the work of a powerful and supreme artificer. And if this is evident, it must be left to the choice and judgment of the wise artificer when he should please to make it, unless indeed you think that all this wisdom which has constructed the immense fabric of the world, and has given the several objects their forms and kinds, assigning to them a habit not only in accordance with beauty, but also most convenient and necessary for their future uses, unless, I say, you think that this alone has escaped it, that it should have chosen a convenient season for so magnificent a work of creation. He has doubtless a certain reason and evident causes why and when and how he made the world, but it is not proper that these things should be disclosed to those who are reluctant to inquire into and understand the things which are placed before their eyes, and which testify of his providence. For those things which are kept in secret and are hidden within the senses of reason, as in a royal treasury, are laid open to none but those who have learned of him, with whom these things are sealed and laid up. It is God, therefore, who made all things, and himself was made by none. But those who speak of nature instead of God, and declare that all things were made by nature, do not perceive the mistake of the name which they use, for they think that nature is irrational. It is most foolish to suppose that a rational creature should proceed from an irrational creator. But if it is reason, that is logos, by which it appears that all things were made, they change the name without purpose when they make statements concerning the reason of the Creator. If you have anything to say to these things, my father, say on. When Nicetas had thus spoken, the old man answered, You indeed, my son, have conducted your argument wisely and vigorously, so much so that I do not think the subject of providence could be better treated. But as it is now late, I wish to say some things tomorrow in answer to what you have argued. And if on these you can satisfy me, I shall confess myself a debtor to your favor. And when the old man said this, Peter rose up. Then one of those present, a chief man of the Laodiceans, requested of Peter and us that we might give the old man other clothes instead of the mean and torn ones that he wore. This man Peter and we embraced, and praising him for his honorable and excellent intention, said, We are not so foolish and impious as not to bestow the things which are necessary for bodily uses upon him to whom we have committed so precious words, and we hope that he will willingly receive them as a father from his sons, and also we trust that he will share with us our house and our living. When we have said this, the chief men of the city strove to take the old man away from us with the greatest urgency and with many blandishments, while we more eagerly strove to keep him with us. And the people cried out that it should rather be done as the old man himself pleased. And when silence was obtained, the old man with an oath said, "Today I shall stay with no one, nor take anything from anyone, lest the choice of the one should prove the sorrow of the other. Afterwards these things may be, if so it seem right." And when the old man had said this, Peter said to the chief men of the city, "Since you have shown your goodwill in our presence, it is not right that you should go away sorrowful, but we should accept from you favor for favor. Show us your house, and make it ready, that the discussions which is to be tomorrow may be held there, and that anyone who wishes to be present to hear it may be admitted." When the chief man of the city heard this, he rejoiced greatly, and all the people also heard it gladly. And when the crowds had dispersed, he pointed out his house. And the old man also was preparing to depart, but I commanded one of my attendants to follow the old man secretly and find out where he stayed. And when he returned to our lodging, we told our brethren all our dealings with the old man, and so, as usual, we supped and went to sleep. Okay, so I think this is a good place to stop, since it's the end of the day for them in the narrative. So next time we will pick it up in chapter 37. Thank you for listening. Shalom.